Passing the CISSP exam or being a CISSP holder does not guarantee that you're going to pass the CCSP exam. Being a CISM also does not guarantee that you're going to pass the CSP exam. If you want to pass the CC exam, you have to do things differently. So let's talk about the CCSP, the Certified Cloud Security Professional Exam. Some people call it the CISSP of the cloud, and they are not wrong. It's tough, but if you're serious about cloud security, this certification is a game changer. I recently passed the CCSP exam, and in this video, I'm going to be talking all about what I did to pass my CCSP exam, the strategies I used, and the things that I did so that you can use them and you can also pass your CCSP exam. So if you're planning for the CCSP exam, this is a video that you must watch. So I'll be sharing exactly how I did it, my study plan, the resources I used, my exam day strategy, and the mistakes that I made so that you don't have to make them. Let me preface this also and add a caveat by saying you can also find other materials separate from whatever I list in this video, and you can still pass the exam. You have to know yourself and find out what works best for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. First, let's talk about the CCSP. Let's break down what exactly the CCSP exam is all about. The CCSP exam is a 125 question multiple choice exam, which you have 3 hours to complete. It is not an adaptive exam like the CCSP, like the CISSP exam. It is just a selection of 125 questions out of a bank of questions that you have to answer within 3 hours, and that is it. So here we are on the web page of the ISC2 that has information about the CCSP exam. It shows that you have the advanced technical skills and knowledge to design, manage, and secure data, applications, and infrastructure in the cloud using best practices, policies, and procedures established by our certified members and cybersecurity experts around the globe. So the CCSP exam helps you prove your skills, advance your career, and actually gain support from the community as well. There are 6 domains in the CCSP at a quick glance. Domain 1 is cloud concepts, architecture, and design. Domain 2 is cloud data security. Domain 3 is cloud platform and infrastructure security. Domain 4 is cloud application security. Domain 5 is cloud security operations, and domain 6 is legal, risk, and compliance. So that's what you have in the CCSP exam. For those who earn the CCSP, they get roles as cloud architects, cloud engineers, cloud consultant, cloud administrator, cloud security analyst, cloud specialist, professional cloud developer, auditor of cloud computing services. So it's a recognized certification in the industry. Now, these domains in the exam aren't weighted exactly the same. The weighting of the exam is different. So for the exam, the weighting are for domain 1, which is cloud concept, architecture, and design, it's 17% of the exam. Domain 2, which is cloud data security, is 20% of the exam. Domain 3, which is cloud platform and infrastructure security, is 17% of the exam, just as domain 4, which is cloud application security, is also 17%. Cloud security operations is 16%, and legal, risk, and compliance, which is the last part, makes up 30%. And the pass mark for the CCSP exam is 700 out of 1,000, and it focuses, like I said earlier, on cloud security best practices, risk management, and governance. So what does all of that I have said, what does all of that mean? It means that it is less hands-on and more about the cloud security strategy. So you have to think like a security architect, not a sysadmin. That's very important for this exam. Now, one of the things that has come up in conversation quite a lot around the CCSP is the CISSP versus CCSP debate. What's the difference between the two, and are there any similarities? We can just quickly recap. The CISSP is one of several certifications issued by the ISC2, and it is considered the global gold standard for information security practitioners. And it covers a broad range of cybersecurity topics in different domains. It has about 8 different domains, and those domains are security risk management, all through software development security. There is some overlap between the CISSP and the CCSP, but they are quite distinctly different. For one, the CISSP is very enterprise-wide focused, and that's the core difference between both exams. The CISSP focuses on security strategy, policies, risk management, security operations, IAM, and a number of other areas of security. Also, it is not cloud specific. Like I said earlier, it looks at security from an entire enterprise-wide perspective. So it wants you to think like the Chief Information Security Officer, the CISO, or the security manager for the enterprise. As such, the CISSP gives you a 30,000-foot high-level view of everything around enterprise security. Conversely, the CCSP is laser-focused on cloud security across the 6 domains of the CCSP exam. The keyword being cloud. The CCSP is concerned about security in and for the cloud. It's extremely focused on cloud security. It covers things like shared responsibility models, cloud architecture and compliance. And so for the CCSP, their thoughts would revolve mainly around things like, how does security work in a cloud-first world? Because that is what the CCSP is all about. In the world of the CCSP, you have to think like a cloud security architect or maybe a cloud security engineer. What I like to do is to tell people to look at it this way. If the CISSP is like being the security general for an entire company or enterprise, then the CCSP is being the cloud security architect who is responsible for ensuring smooth operations of the cloud business offerings or services, ensuring that your cloud platform does not go rogue on you. So what's the bottom line? If you are in traditional cybersecurity and you want leadership roles, go for the CISSP. But if you're in cloud security or you work with cloud services daily, the CCSP is probably a better bet for you. So let's talk about what I did for my study plans, my strategy, and the resources that I use that worked for me. First, let's start with my study strategy, because I actually work in the cloud security already, and I actually have experience working with a number of different cloud platforms. So this was not completely new to me. And that, I think, is partly why ISC2 recommends that you have 5 years of related work experience in order to get the certification. With that said, even with the advantage of related work experience, I still took about 8 weeks to prepare for the exam. Yeah, 8 long weeks. What are the things I did when I was studying for the exam during that 8-week period that helped me to prepare? It goes without saying that the first thing you must use to prepare, either you like it or not, is the official study guide. The ISC2 publishes an official study guide that contains everything, and I mean everything, that you need to know about what the CCSP exam needs or requires of you. Now, I know people have said that the official study guide is a dry book, and yes, I will admit it can be difficult to read at times, but you do need to know the material in that. So if you want, you can also support the official CCSP guide with an all-in-one exam guide. And you can actually find those books are all available. You can actually get those all online, various platforms you can buy directly from. If you go to the CCSP website, it actually allows you, I'm just going to open the website up here. It does allow you to, if we go to the CCSP study tools, there's a variety of study tools that are available. You can actually find accredited online CCSP training. It's an option. If you want self-study tools, there's the CBK reference available on Amazon. You can also buy it directly from Wiley. You can buy the practices from Wiley, who are the publishers, I believe. You can also buy the official study guide. And just to see, if we go to Amazon, I'm in Canada, so going to Amazon website here in Canada, you can actually see, you can actually buy a bundle of the official study guide and the practice test. More on that later. Or you can also buy, various other books that are related to the CCSP as well. There's CCSP for Dummies, which has 100 flashcards and 2 practice tests. There's a bunch of them. So determine what works best for you and come back to pick up that one. There's also the all-in-one exam guide, 3rd edition, which is a good tool. I will talk about that in a little bit. And there's also the Destination CCSP comprehensive guide as well. So pick up whichever one works best for you in practicing for your exam. Now, going back to that, I said you can actually buy the official study guide, or you can supplement it with an all-in-one guide, which you saw earlier. In some ways, it's a bit more digestible than the official guide, but that official guide is the one book you must consider. Every single thing that the exam can ask you comes from this official study guide. So you want to take that. But of course, like I said earlier, there's other books you can read. You can read other books. But I personally focus on the official study guide and the practice test. And I think you would do well to focus on that. The other thing I did to prepare for my exam was to take a few video courses. Now, there are several video courses on the CCSP. I will only be speaking about the 3 that I use for my preparation. And also remember that these video courses are there to enhance the knowledge in the official study guide and the common body of knowledge, not to supplant it. So they enhance and support what you have in the OSG and the CBK. The first course that I took was the LinkedIn Learning CCSP Learning Path by Mike Chappell. It's a series of 6 courses. Here in LinkedIn Learning, we have the official Learning Path put by Mike Chappell. It's a series of 6 courses. If you look at this, there's 6 courses. Each of them has focused on a domain of the CCSP OSG, and it breaks down the concepts and covers the material in an easy to follow way that helps you get ready for the exam. So I found that it was quite well laid out. It contained all of the core knowledge that you needed for the exam. Everything from domain 1 through 6 is available on here. There's actually an audio review that Mike Chappell also puts in there, which you can actually take if you wanted. So there's quite a bunch of material that helps you with all the preparation for the CCSP exam you can take. So that was the first course I took. The second video course I took was on Udemy, not on LinkedIn Learning, and it was Gwen Betway's video course with Udemy that helps you with the certification for the CCSP. And just like Mike's course, it's quite an elaborate course. It's a 6-part series course. So there's domain 1, 2, 3. You can take the individual, you can look at the individual courses here. There's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the 6 domains, or you can just take this one that has all of them combined together as one single video. Do whatever works best for you. But just like with Mike Chappell's course on LinkedIn Learning, each of those chapters focuses on each of those domains. She uses clear, easy language to explain the concept of the exam, and she gives several examples to actually help with knowledge retention. And finally, the third video series that I used was Peter Zeger's Inside Cloud and Security YouTube channel for the CCSP Exam Cram. By the way, he has several exam cram series on his YouTube channel. They've been well received. He has almost 100,000 subscribers on his channel, but I use the one specifically for the CCSP Exam Cram. And I use that to fully cement in my brain what I have been studying for the last few weeks. And so if you look on here, just look, this is his YouTube channel. You can actually take a look at his playlist. And if you go to playlist, there's actually one for the CCSP Exam Cram. So there's that one. So you can actually view the full playlist, and it contains all the information for all 6 domains, domain 1 through to 6 in there. You can actually watch each of those videos individually as individual videos, or you can watch them all in one fell swoop, nearly 12 hours of content. But for this exam cram series, my recommendation is to use it as a last-minute resource, which is exactly how I used it. That's exactly what I did during the final 2 weeks to review the CCSP material to actually help me prepare for that CCSP exam. So what the exam cram does for you is that it helps you to distill the most crucial components, allowing you to focus on the most crucial and critical areas for the exam. So it is a great course that can help you nail the final bits for the.
Hey CyberSec Migrant listeners, if you're enjoying the show, help us spread the word. Share the CyberSec Migrant podcast with your friends, your colleagues, and your network. It's the best way to help others discover our awesome content and to join the conversation. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and any other place where you get your podcast, so you never miss an episode. And do hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube Your support helps us keep bringing you more valuable content, insights, and stories, and all these tips from the world of cybersecurity. And thank you for tuning in. And now, let's get back to today's episode.
Now, the next and final thing that I used was practice tests. It's all fine and dandy to read and study, but you need to be able to measure your knowledge that you've gained in some way. So what you definitely have to consider doing is taking practice tests. Now, there are several practice tests of the CCSP out there, but I'm only going to be focusing on the ones that I used. So first, I used the official practice test from ISC2. That's a no-brainer, really. It's, after all, the official practice test book. One of the reasons why I do like the official practice test is that it gives you a sense of what are the questions on the exam, what would they look like, how are they going to frame the questions. So you get a sense of how the question is asked, what do you need to provide as a correct answer, what are you expected to understand. So that's what using the official practice test gives to you, a good sense of the actual exam on the day you do finally go for the exam. I also use the practice exams from the CCSP study app by LearnZ, which I think is an officially supported app by this ISC2. There is a free version that gives you access to one practice test, which you can actually unlock more practice tests by paying a subscription. Then additionally, also several learning platforms, LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, they offer practice exams, which you can actually take to test your level of preparedness for the exam. If you're able to get access to those, they are a good resource. But if you don't sweat it. I think my final strategy was to find a group of like-minded individuals, maybe people who are studying for the CCSP as well, because it does help when you are on your CCSP journey with other folks, as you can all feed off of each other's energies. So finding a group of other study people would actually help. So in terms of preparatory material, those are the material I used. Video courses, official study guide, practice exams, online discussions forums. And those could be really crucial in helping you nail your CCSP exam. Now, talking about taking the actual exam and my test day strategy, because you should have a strategy for your test day and taking the exam. So let's talk about that. What I did once I had gone through all of my study, I had gone through all the materials. This is how and again, remember, this is my approach. This is how I approach the exam. The first thing I did, which I think you should do if you want to pass the exam, is to shift your focus to a cloud mindset. Always ask yourself the question, how do we do this in the cloud? What is the cloud way of doing things? Because you should know that sometimes the way things are done in traditional IT is different from the way you would do it in the cloud. So if a question asks you, say, for example, about best practices, and then there's one answer that applies to traditional IT and a different answer that applies to cloud, the correct answer wouldn't be the traditional IT option, because that could be wrong. The correct answer would be, what's the cloud way? And again, don't forget, the exam is actually focused on the cloud. It's the Certified Cloud Security Professional Exam. That's why there's a reason there's cloud in the name of the certification. It is very cloud focused. The second thing that I did for my exam day strategy to help me make use of this is to eliminate the wrong answers first. We are given multiple choice questions, mostly 4 answers for each question, of which there are 3 incorrect answers and only 1 is correct. Or there could be one that's the best answer in the scenario that's given to you. So it's important to read the question more than once. You have about 90 seconds for each question. So read the question to understand what exactly is the question asking of you, and then eliminate the wrong answers first. Because almost always there will be an answer that is obviously not correct, because it is so outlandishly wrong that you can tell right away that that is the wrong answer. So eliminate those answers first, because you might be surprised how often that actually works for you. So, and then you can, having eliminated the wrong answer, focus on determining which of what is left is the cloud way to approach this question, and that will allow you to answer the question correctly. Finally, and most importantly, time management. It's very important. Yes, you have 3 hours to take the exam. Yes, you have 125 questions, which means there's over a minute for each question. But you'll be surprised at how quickly that time can go. So do not overthink it. If you find a question that is tricky, think about it briefly and move on. Do not waste time dwelling on the question. Seriously, Staring at the question for 5 minutes will not make it answer itself. I've been there, so don't do that. If you know the answer, fine, take the answer. But if you don't, take a guess and move on. Don't sweat it. Now, there are a few things that I think were mistakes, which I think you should learn from. Mistakes I made in challenges that I had when I was preparing for the exam, and talking about them and those challenges would help you so that you don't have to go through the same phase I went through. First, because I am already a CISSP, it required me to make a mental shift to start thinking about cloud specifically and not just general enterprise IT. So one of those pitfalls I faced was too much CISSP style thinking, because the CCSP is not just CISSP for the cloud. It's important that you have to have a different mindset, the cloud first mindset. So if you're already a CISSP or you've taken a CISSP bootcamp before, you have to learn not to think like a CISSP. Don't think like a CISO. Think like a cloud security architect. That would really help you. And the thing that really helped me with that thinking was practice exams. Practice exams can really help you cement your thoughts and get you into the right mindset. And I can't stress this enough. Take practice tests. Take as many as you can. I know I did more than 8 practice tests. You can never take too many tests. That I will tell you for free. So if you have the opportunity to take more, even after taking your last one, take another one. The more practice tests you are able to take, the better you're going to be prepared for the exam. And the better your outcome will be when you actually take the exam. And then finally, one thing I found that was a bit of a challenge for me in particular, that was overcomplicating legal and compliance topics. Because sometimes, just because of the jargon, it's easy to overcomplicate and overthink when it comes to question on legal or compliance or regulatory. So my advice, don't overthink it. Just focus. What does the cloud provider do? What does the cloud customer do? What is the shared responsibility model? How does it apply in this case? Almost every time, that will help you solve the problem. Don't overthink it. You're not a lawyer. The CCSP does not require you to become a lawyer. You are not expected to interpret the law. That is not your job. Your job is to architect the security of the cloud within the confines of regulations. Always remember that. Don't overthink it. Now, what was my exam day experience like? What was the exam day experience like for me? The CCSP exam, you cannot write remotely. There's no remote proctoring for CCSP. You have to go into a test center to write your exam. So first things first, on the exam day, expect that. I took the English exam, and some questions will seem easy, but some will not. Because in addition to being a test of your cloud knowledge, this exam is also written in English language. So it's a test of how well do you comprehend English. Like I said earlier at the beginning, think like a cloud security architect, not like an enterprise security manager. That would really help you to knock this exam out of the park. There you have it. That was how I passed my CCSP exam. I'm happy I passed it. And I think if you follow these steps, I can guarantee you that you will pass the exam also. So take a deep breath, trust the preparation. And once you do that and you complete your exam, then just walk out, get that paper that says, congratulations. And well, that is the goal being achieved right there. There's no better feeling than having that paper saying you've passed the exam. So if you're still preparing, stay consistent, trust the process, and remember, this is going to be a huge career booster in cloud security for you. You have the CCSP, and it's guaranteed to show anyone that you are an authority when it comes to cloud security. You understand the nuances, you understand the shared responsibility model, you can be trusted to know the right thing to do when it comes to the cloud. So, do you have any questions about the CCSP? Are you planning for the CCSP? Are you using any resources that I did not mention in this video? Share them in the comments below, please, if you can. And if you have any questions, from the comments as well. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. And don't hesitate to follow me for more cybersecurity and cloud security related tips and more content like this. And if you enjoyed this video, if you found this content useful, consider giving it a like. You know, someone preparing for the CCSP exam, share this video with them and consider subscribing to the channel. That would really be helpful. And subscribing to the channel will give you more access to see more of our cybersecurity and cloud related tips and videos. And of course, Until next time, this is Femi signing out.